There is a company almost no one has heard of. It has no app on your phone, no logo on your car, no ad during the Super Bowl. And yet, without it, there is no iPhone, no ChatGPT, no fighter jet guidance system, no AI revolution at all. Its name is ASML, and it holds something no other company on Earth possesses: a complete, total monopoly on the machines that make the most advanced computer chips possible. 100%, not a majority, not a dominant share, all of it. To understand how a quiet Dutch company came to hold humanity's most important choke point, we have to go back to a failure, a company that almost didn't survive its own childhood. In the early 1980s, the Dutch electronics giant Philips had been quietly building prototype lithography machines, the tools that print microscopic circuit patterns onto silicon. Philips tried to find American partners to bring the technology to market. 3 different companies said no. So, in 1984, Philips did something unusual. It spun the project into its own company, joining forces with a small firm called ASM International. They called it ASM Lithography. It almost had a very different name. The working title was ALS, until someone pointed out that ALS is also the name of a devastating disease. So they changed it, and the company became simply ASML. Not an abbreviation of anything, just a name. Their first machine, the PAS 2000, was supposed to be their breakthrough. It wasn't. Instead of using electric motors like its competitors, it relied on oil pressure to move silicon wafers into position. The oil leaked. The machine was unreliable, unpopular, and by most measures, a failure. By 1988, the damage was done. ASM International walked away from the partnership entirely. Philips, staring at a money-losing venture with no clear future, seriously considered shutting the whole thing down. This is the moment that could have ended the story before it began. A tiny lithography company, abandoned by one parent, unwanted by the other, standing in the shadow of Japanese giants who already dominated the industry. But it didn't end there. And what happened next would eventually make ASML more powerful than Apple, more essential than Intel, and more strategically important to global superpowers than almost any company in the world. Survival forced them to think differently. Rather than trying to build everything themselves, ASML made an unusual bet. Instead of manufacturing every single component in-house the way their competitors did, they would outsource the hard parts, the lenses, the motors, the precision optics. ASML would focus on one thing: assembling those parts into a machine that worked, and worked reliably, anywhere in the world. That decision changed everything. In 1991, they released the PAS 5500. It wasn't flashy, but when it broke down, it could be repaired on site, quickly, without shutting a chip factory down for weeks. For companies like IBM, spending hundreds of millions of dollars on a production line, downtime was catastrophic. A machine that could be fixed fast wasn't a nice feature, it was everything. IBM chose ASML over Japan's Nikon. It was the first real crack in a wall the Japanese manufacturers had built for decades. And it was only the beginning. Because in 1997, ASML did something that looked, at the time, almost reckless. They started researching a technology so difficult that most of the industry considered it borderline impossible: extreme ultraviolet lithography, EUV for short. Here is what makes EUV almost unbelievable. To carve circuits fine enough for modern chips, you need light with an incredibly short wavelength, just 13.5 nanometers. There is no natural, stable source for light that small, so ASML's engineers built a solution that sounds like science fiction. Inside the machine, a droplet of molten tin smaller than a grain of sand is blasted by a laser, twice, in rapid succession. The first pulse flattens it. The second vaporizes it into plasma, and for a fraction of a second, that plasma glows with exactly the wavelength of light needed. They do this 50,000 times per second. That plasma light is then bounced off a series of mirrors so precisely polished that if you scaled one up to the size of Germany, the tallest bump on its surface would be a single millimeter. It took ASML decades and roughly $9 billion to make this work at industrial scale. For years, nobody was certain it would. And then, right as the technology was finally inching toward viability, the company nearly died a second time. The 2008 financial crisis tore through the semiconductor industry, and ASML's sales collapsed almost overnight. Around 1,000 employees lost their jobs. Engineers who had spent years chasing a technology that still didn't work, suddenly out of work themselves. For a company betting its entire future on an unproven idea, this was the moment the bet looked like it might not survive to pay off at all. But then came a decision that would quietly reshape the entire semiconductor industry. In 2012, ASML did something almost no hardware company had ever done. It sold roughly 23% of itself directly to its own customers. Intel bought a 15% stake for over $4 billion. Samsung and TSMC joined too. Think about what that meant. The three most powerful chip makers on the planet were no longer just buyers of ASML's machines. They were now owners of ASML's success. If EUV failed, they lost money as investors. If EUV succeeded, they profited twice, once as shareholders, and once as the only companies on Earth capable of using the technology to build next-generation chips. It was a masterstroke of alignment, and within a few years, the numbers would prove it wasn't just clever, it was one of the most profitable bets in corporate history. By the late 2010s, EUV was no longer a research project, it was shipping. Chip makers who wanted to build the smallest, fastest, most power-efficient processors in the world, the chips inside your phone, inside data centers, inside every major AI system had exactly one place to go. And the money followed exactly where you'd expect. In 2018, ASML brought in about $13 billion. By 2024, that number had nearly tripled to $35 billion. By 2025, net sales reached 32.7 billion euros, with almost 10 billion euros in pure profit. Guidance for 2026 was raised again to as much as 45 billion euros. A technology that once nearly bankrupted the company twice was now printing money at a pace almost no hardware business in history has matched. Here is the number that puts it all into perspective. A single EUV system can cost up to $200 million. The newest generation, called High-NA, runs as high as $400 million per machine. And they don't ship easily either. Each one weighs around 180 tons and requires 3 separate Boeing 747 cargo flights just to transport the parts to a customer's factory. Intel wanted an edge so badly that in 2024, it bought every single High-NA machine ASML had built that year, all 5 of them, leaving Samsung and SK Hynix to wait in line. This is what a monopoly actually looks like in the real world, not a company crushing competitors through aggressive tactics. A company so far ahead on a problem so difficult that competitors simply cannot follow. Nikon and Canon are still in the lithography business, real companies with real engineers, real budgets, and decades of experience. And neither one has managed to build a working EUV machine. Not a cheaper version, not a smaller version, none at all. That's the real measure of ASML's lead. It isn't that rivals chose not to compete in EUV. It's that, so far, none of them have been able to. Its own CEO, Christophe Fouquet, doesn't dress that up. Asked directly about the company's position, his answer was 3 words: no one is coming for us. But total dominance creates its own kind of danger. Because when one company controls the only door into the most advanced chips on Earth, that company stops being just a business. It becomes a geopolitical weapon. Starting in 2018, ASML found itself pulled into a fight it never asked for. The United States began pressuring the Netherlands to cut China off from its most advanced machines. By 2019, EUV exports to China were formally banned. And it didn't stop there. Year after year, the restrictions crept further down the ladder, catching older and older machines that had nothing to do with cutting-edge chips at all. For ASML, this wasn't a paperwork problem. China was one of the largest potential markets on Earth for this equipment, and now the company was trapped between 2 governments, watching its own future get decided in meetings in Washington and The Hague that it had no seat at. And China, it turned out, was not going to simply accept being locked out. In December 2025, reporting emerged that Chinese engineers, some of them former ASML employees, had secretly built a working EUV prototype in Shenzhen, backed by an estimated $47.5 billion in state funding. The machine reportedly could generate EUV light. What it could not yet do was reliably produce advanced chips at scale. ASML's leadership has been careful and confident in its response, suggesting that closing that gap would take China many more years. Whether that estimate proves accurate may end up being one of the defining technological questions of this decade. Because here is the deeper truth underneath all of this. Every smartphone camera that recognizes your face, every AI model that writes, translates, or predicts, every satellite, missile guidance system, and encrypted communication network built in the last 5 years, all of it depends, at some point, on a chip that could only have been manufactured because a single Dutch company, once considered a failed side project, refused to give up. ASML almost died in 1988 as an unwanted, underfunded joint venture nobody believed in. It nearly died again in 2008, midway through the biggest bet it had ever made. It survived both times by outsourcing what it couldn't do best and obsessing over what it could. It bet $9 billion and multiple decades on a technology that sounded, for years, like it might never work. And when it finally did work, it didn't just create a great company. It created a bottleneck for the entire modern world, one so narrow that every major nation, every trillion-dollar tech company, and every AI ambition on the planet must pass through it. Somewhere in the Netherlands right now, inside clean rooms more precise than anything else humans have ever built, laser pulses are striking droplets of molten tin 50,000 times a second, quietly deciding, one flash of plasma at a time, how fast the future arrives.